Welcome back to Newsmaker Live. We're taking your calls in just a moment. I'm here with Terry Finisterre and also Cladius Emmanuel. We're talking West Indies cricket. And congratulations to Darren, Sammy, and the rest of the team, the management as well, for a fantastic job. I said I wanted to talk about Ines Hilaire, but Terry, when we were going to break, you were making a point, and I told you don't be like me and forget your point.
Jeez, what?
That's exactly how I'd handle it.
Actually, you mentioned management, and that's exactly what I wanted to touch on. The fact that over the past 3-4 years, we have really put a management structure in place in West Indies cricket. The back office staff has really got. I mean, my God, the volume of emails. I literally have a cricket folder in my mailbox, in my email, and this thing has, I mean, I have more cricket email than I have any other email, and I have all other email, because you're talking about Spooner and Woody, who used to be on Caravision, and Imran Khan, the PR team, Cindy McLean. You're talking about a tremendous staff that has been put together at Factory Road in Antigua, and they're doing a great job at the secretariat. You're also talking about the coaching staff, the Radford, the Campbell working with the women's team, Otis Gibson. These guys have been absolutely fantastic. The support team, I shouldn't even say the support team, the team that has been put together behind the 11 men that we see on the field is tremendous. So when you talk about continuity and you talk about going forward, and the fact that maybe one or two people might change at the top of West Indies cricket, the people who are actually doing the work day in and day out and running the secretariat and running the team and putting the team together, the selection panel, there's continuity there. They've just been reappointed. So there's a great deal of continuity and a great deal of work that has been put in that, you know, maybe the man on the street may not see, that we may watch a game and not realize the volume of work that has been put in, the consistency, you know, with Richie Richardson and the likes as manager. That has been absolutely fantastic and really a godsend for this team. Further to which, we spoke about the depth of the team. You look at what the HPC right now, for instance, they've just come back from Bangladesh. We've had some guys performing in Bangladesh. I mean, these guys have been going like gangbusters. We basically won the tour of Bangladesh. The HPC playing against Bangladesh, A playing against the Bangladesh Academy. We saw Cladius getting amongst the runs. Yeah. We saw, oh my goodness, I can't remember the other guy's name that was amongst the runs, but you also saw Verisamy Permal, who's only 23 years old, getting amongst the runs as well as amongst the wickets. He took 24 wickets. So we've had Hope is the other batsman, right? Hope was our leading batsman. Kyle Hope was our leading batsman on our tour of Bangladesh. So there are resources still to come. There's Shandapal who has been left out of the shorter form of the game, although he has gone back in the club version. But you know, we have resources. We have built up a backlog of resources. We have guys in HPC. We have guys who've come out of HPC, the likes of Dillon Johnson and the youngest McLean boy. These guys are now going to come back into their territories and contribute to their territories, and hopefully come back into West Indies cricket.
Now Terry, Claudius, what is evident to me is that the team began to realize success when they played more cricket. I think that was a major shortfall or downfall of our cricket, because we were expecting the guys to go out and perform, but then they were not exposed to cricket. They were not played our regional. I mean, it's improving now, but our regional tournament was a joke. You know, you're playing cricket for pretty much a month out of the year, and you expect them to compete at an international level when you have county cricket in England almost all year round. You know, you have the Australians playing cricket, you have the New Zealanders playing cricket. You know, I mean, even the women's team, that it was very evident to me, the women's team, they got walloped by the Brits in that warm-up game.
The warm-up series, yeah.
But then when they came back, I saw their progress in each game. You know, because they were playing, they were exposed to more cricket. That's the only explanation I have. I don't know what you see.
Yes, and I think the board addressed that through the introduction of the A-team program, because what you have is, with what, 6 regional teams, I mean 5 matches, for a season. I mean,
Yes.
that's not sufficient. So I think what the A-team series does is that it gives the up-and-coming players additional opportunities to hone their skills. And as you indicated, the more you play is the better that you are able to develop your talent. And so I think it's going to be good to see this program continuing so that the guys are kept in cricket all year round. And of course now with the proliferation of 2020 leagues, although it's in the shorter version of the game, but at least you're having your top players into cricket.
They're playing cricket.
And the volume of cricket is such that it is actually helping, because immediately after the World Cup, you have this Champions 2020 League going on. So guys have come straight from the World Cup into this additional cricket. So they are constantly at it, and what better way to improve your skills?
Just one second.
Although, of course, the whole issue of burnout, you know, you need to manage that as
burnout,
well.
but that's what I was going to say. But if you're a sportsman, I'm a fanatic, right? Any opportunity I get to play anything, I'll take. You know, and these guys are doing that for money. You know, so I don't see, unless you really need a break. Say, boy, you're playing for like 6 or 7 months straight and you really need to stop. I don't see these guys saying, you know what, I just can't take on cricket. Terry?
Well, we're seeing right now in 2020 what we used to see in the English county game, which is that the West Indians are now really the preferred team in terms of getting personnel on your side. Even Darren Sammy earlier this year was given an offer to play in the Bangladesh
And he
Premier
turned
League.
it down, yeah.
You've seen Chandapal now in playing for Uva next. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunity now for more and more younger cricketers, younger West Indies cricketers, to get more of a game. You talk about burnout and the effects of playing vis-a-vis, you know, loving to play and playing professionally. I think there has to be a little bit of a balance. Even Darren, for instance, he played, and I thought it showed real character from him. I know he probably didn't want to play in the Windward Islands Goodwill tournament, which was held in St. Lucia, but he came, he led St. Lucia. I think it was really a case of damned if you do, damned if you don't, because if he hadn't played, people would criticize it. He played. He didn't, you know, his performances were mixed. He had a little bit of an injury. He was criticized. But I don't think any objective person could have been upset with Darren if he had decided to just sit this one out, because he had just come back from playing a lot of cricket. We've seen Darren, I think it was the last time we toured the subcontinent last year. We saw Darren at the end of that series. He was grizzled. He looked tired. That Darren had literally played every game for the West Indies up to that point. On the England tour, I think he played all the games but one. He was the only player who played as many games. He played every game but one for the West Indies. There must be a toll on you. It's not like basketball where they can limit your minutes, so to speak. You're on the field.
Right.
You have to be on the field. You pretty much have to be on the field.
If you're batting first, you might be lucky, so you could sit out half if you're
exactly.
If the
other captain not watching too close.
If the opening batsmen do their job. We have a call on the line though. Good evening. Thank you for holding. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Yeah, how many games did Viv Richards lose during his reign in both Test cricket and one day? 50 of them.
Thanks. How many games did Viv Richards lose as captain in Test and one day? I don't think he did he lose any. Well, did he lose any? Well, not games, but series.
No, how many series did he lose?
I don't think that. I don't think he lost any series.
I'll have to look that up.
No. Viv Richards didn't lose any Test series.
Right.
He was unbeaten in terms of Test cricket, but the one-day record, I'm not really clear on it. But Terry has the.
But you could always Google that. You know,
so
check online. You should be able to get that information.
Place to look would be on Cricinfo.
Yeah, cricinfo.com will give you those stats
guru.
easily.
Yeah, Clinton. Just to pick up on the point that Terry was making about the fatigue factor in terms of the amount of cricket people like Darren Sammy are playing. It's interesting that I think West Indians and perhaps India, they are the only two teams in international cricket who have the same captain for across all three formats.
Right.
Darren Sammy captain in Test, One Day and ODI, and so MS Dhoni.
Right.
So maybe an opportunity there, perhaps to look at maybe different captains in terms of using that as a means of providing a balance in terms of the workload for the captain.
But doesn't it also lend to continuity and also, you know, maintaining structure when you have the same captain over all formats, in terms of strategizing and that kind of thing? And you can answer that when we clear this call, which cleared itself.
Yes. But I suppose the downside is that you can virtually run him into the ground because he has to play everything. So it's something that maybe the captain, in consultation with the management, they would probably need to look at. But I mean, for India, it seems to be working out well. So maybe it's not really an issue for Sami.
It's now worked out for us.
Exactly, exactly.
So, get to work.
Precisely. So you may not want to tamper with it, and I suppose what can happen is that you may have to weave in rest periods for the captain. You know, you'd have to be creative.
We have another call. Good evening. Thanks for calling. What is your question, please?
Good evening, Terry. Good evening, Cladius, and good evening to the host. Let me just correct Terry. It wasn't on Hines, you know. It in terms of the guy who went back for fitness, it was Ashley Nurse.
Was it?
Hello? Yeah, Terry said that the West Indies had rejected a player because
Hines,
he was
right?
fit. It wasn't on Hines. It was actually Ashley Nurse who was supposed to go on that turn. Gary Macha got the
Gary
opportunity.
Macha replaced him.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to correct Terry on that.
All right.
And I want to ask the panel a question. Because today I saw overwhelming support for Darren in terms of View Fort and in terms of the Derek Walcott Square. You know, Derek Walcott Square was virtually too small, the amount of people I was there. But do you believe that can transcend into support, well, like when you play for Windward Islands? And because we have, you know, at times we play matches at the BCG and, you know, virtually the ground is empty. And do you believe that it creates a surge in fast cricket is concerned, whereby more and more people will come out and see Darren, not just in terms of on the effort, but in terms of on the field of play, wanting to see Darren play when he plays local cricket here?
Okay.
And how could you see that transforming into more guys, you know, local guys, you know, trying to get involved in as far as making the West Indies team concerned?
Great. Thanks for your questions.
Yes. Well, of course, I think we'd all want to see a little bit of more support for Darren, Sami, and the Windwards and St. Lucia team when the games are actually at Postage. Traditionally, we have not seen that, and obviously, it was great to see the support today, and it would be nice if some of that could translate. But how do you actually do that? It's a challenge because over the years we have seen those sort of longer version of games. They have not really generated the sort of support, and it's not something that's unique to the Caribbean. In the big countries, in India, lots of support for T20s and ODIs, but the test matches, the 4-day games, the crowds are not really supporting. So it seems to be a modern day trend.
But even in India, even though you don't get support, you have over 1 billion people to choose from who, you know, even though you don't get much, you can still fill a stadium. We have another call. Good evening. Please go ahead with your question.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I just want to tell you that after 79, the West Indies ruled the cricket world for more than 10 years. Absolutely no team in the world could have defeated them, whether it be in Test or the 50 over one-day international. So it's not fair to say that they had not won anything world status after 79 because they ruled the world.
Well,
Yes.
we're talking about ICC tournaments. Okay. Now, yes, there are tours and stuff, but the tours are not ICC tournaments.
2020 did not exist during those days. Okay, the two forms of the game, West Indies ruled it. They beat every team in the world. You know, they would. I mean, up to now, that team is still one of the best cricket teams that had ever played the game. So you cannot say that we have not won anything since 79.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Thanks a lot.
To be strictly correct, we won in 79, but we lost the following World Cup in 1983 to India. And in Test cricket, we ruled from the late 70s up until 1995 when we surrendered to Australia. So actually the decline really set in the mid-90s and we have to argue in Test cricket, it is still very much there. And so the hope is that this victory in the 2020 format would translate into positive results at the 50 over level and into Test cricket. So that is really the expectation.
Well, we played Australia, Bangladesh, and England, and we saw the improvements. There's some matches that we should have won, you know, in the last series that we just did not win. But you could have seen the progress that the guys have made, the never say die attitude that we use right now. Never say die, that the guys were fighting. And, you know, in the past you would see a capitulation. People, you know, you lose one wicket, you take one wicket for the West Indies, then you take all of them. You know, it might as well be.
And part of that has been down in the past to the fact that players never felt threatened. Some players knew. I mean, we had the likes of even a Floyd Reefer, for instance. When Floyd Reefer was in the side, Floyd Reefer was not, you know, the classiest player around. But Floyd Reefer was not really threatened for his place in the side. Shivnarine Chanderpaul has been in the side for, obviously Shivnarine Chanderpaul is unquestionably an all-time great in world cricket, not just West Indies cricket. But I mean, who has been the next person that any of us would say, boy, you know, I think, boy, we could give Chanderpaul a little rest today and give a man a run. Now we're starting to get more and more. Look at what we've done the last 2 years alone. The last 2 years, we had Suleiman Ben, who was our main
ace spinner.
He was our ace spinner. He was the guy who bowled for us in the Super Over against New Zealand the last time we had one. And now we've produced Bishu. Bishu is, and remember, we had been having conversation about Tadpole Mohammed and Juggernaut and other, you know, there are other spinners coming through, and why is Suleiman Ben, but none of them were really pressing. Yes, they were taking wickets in regional cricket, but spinners always take wickets in regional cricket and go and get slaughtered internationally. But now we've started to see, in the last couple of years, we've started to see spinners really coming. I mean, real spinners really coming through. Bishu, emerging cricketer of the year. Last year had a tremendous year. Yes, this year he struggled, but last year he had a tremendous year, and hopefully will come back again with the help of the A-team and the HPC. We've seen Permal come through. We've seen Badri, who's an older and more experienced cricketer, now beginning to find his niche in the T20 format. We've seen Sunil Narayan now winning the ICC Emerging Cricketer of the Year, second consecutive West Indies spinner to do so. So we're building the resources in different areas. Now we have 5 fellas that we can look at as legitimate. Nikita Miller was in contention for us. I mean, Nikita Miller and Juggernaut, and we were talking about all these guys, and these guys would come up and play against Australia and England and Pakistan and get slaughtered.
We have a call on the line. Thanks for holding. Please go ahead with your question.
Good evening, Clinton, and good evening to your panel.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have a little question I would like you to address. By the way, congratulations to West Indies and to Darren and Johnson. Why is it we're saying that that since 1979 the West Indies have not won a major tournament? Why do we say that? Why are we saying that?
Is that a question? or do you have a follow-up?
I'm holding on.
Uh-huh.
Well, I think...
Is that true? Is it true that we have not won a major since 79?
I think
we won a major tournament.
Carl, I think Clinton explained it at the top of the program that...
I didn't follow from the start. What did you say?
Of course, we have won the ICC Champions Trophy in 2004.
And do you agree? Do you agree with people saying so?
Sorry?
Do you agree with people saying they have not won a major championship since 1979?
Well, you can argue that the ICC Champions Trophy was a major tournament, so we won that in 2004.
Yeah, because I have people who are well-placed to know better saying that kind of thing.
But we haven't won a global competition like a World Cup since 1979. I think
but
that's
the Champions Trophy has the same pretty much how shall I put it? Thing as it's like it's not called a World Cup, but it is contested by all the test playing countries, and as in every major ICC tournament, only associate teams are either invited or have to go through a qualification phase. And I don't. I mean, it's true. It's not the T20. It's not the traditional World Cup, but it is in a way a World Cup. It's a major tournament. And I was so surprised because the first person who said that the West Indies is the only team that has won all 3 major ICC tournaments is the president himself, Dr. Julian Hunt. So I don't know. I don't know if maybe there's something I'm missing or I'm not getting.
Well, I mean, another point to that is the ICC Champions Trophy, I think, is being phased out. Next year will be the last.
Correct.
The last of that tournament. So I mean,
yeah, that doesn't mean it's not been a major tournament.
But
I think because
well,
it's a question of sponsors and so on.
Right. You see, I mean, there's a difference between a Champions Trophy and a World Tournament.
What is the difference? What is the difference, Clinton?
I mean, the Champions Trophy, I would imagine, would be champions competing in that.
Champions of what?
Of world cricket. I mean, you said the major test playing countries. Yes, you're right. You're right about that.
Yeah, but all the test playing countries have always taken part in those limited over competitions. None of them have had to go for a qualification phase. They are always there.
Well, I guess it's just a matter of semantics. Okay. West Indies had not won a world tournament since 1979. So
you're saying
I mean, to say again,
not a world tournament, it's not a world championship?
Pardon me?
You're saying the Champions Trophy is not a world tournament?
I guess that's the explanation for it. That
but it's not a logical one.
It's not called a world tournament. And the last time they won a world tournament was 79. So that's 34 years ago.
No, I beg to disagree with that.
Yeah.
With Darren Sammy.
Anyway, good program, gentlemen.
Although he wasn't mentioned during the...
All right. Thanks a lot for your contribution.
I think they mentioned during the post-game comments, they did mention that Chris Gayle and I think it was Bravo were on that team, on that Champions Trophy.
The 2014.
Yeah. Darren Sammy was on the team,
but he didn't play.
But he didn't play in the final. He played in the preliminary game, but he didn't play in the final. Just like Lender Simmons. Lender Simmons still gets paid. Very highly paid water boy.
Yeah, and I saw him taking some stick today against Yorkshire, was it?
Yeah, Yorkshire.
In that
Trinidad
match.
Been beaten.
Yeah, they could have won that match. They were in a position to win, but
yeah, they were West Indies.
Seriously though, if they had real bowlers, then they
if
would
they
have
had if the Trinidad, and I said so yesterday and I reiterated it today. I mean, if that Trinidad and Tobago team, and I understand the ins and outs in terms of the franchising and franchise fees, and people want to play for their regular franchise as opposed to Trinidad, which is, even though it's your national team, they're not a regular 2020 unit. But if that same team just had Dwayne Bravo, obviously he's injured, so he wouldn't figure in any case, but if they had Dwayne Bravo, Kieran Pollard and Sunil Narayan, that team is a totally different team. And if you just remove, say, the Cooper, the Emirates
and the Simmons,
and no, Simmons will still play.
I know.
Simmons still play, but Simmons would then not bowl as much.
Exactly.
Simmons would then figure only as a
Simmons bowling at the end there for
Simmons would only figure as an emergency bowler if you had Pollard and you had Narayan
and
Bravo
lollipops
was
for the guys to just lick up.
That team, that Trinidad, a full strength Trinidad and Tobago team, I think has what it takes to be up there at least in the Champions League 2025.
Now I want to throw something else in there, because I've said it in the past that notwithstanding what has happened with Alan Stanford, I think Alan Stanford did a heck of a lot for West Indies cricket. Would any of you hazard to agree with that statement? I've just been told I'm with you for a break, so let's think about it and we'll come back to Newsmaker Live discussing cricket with Cladius, Emmanuel and Terry Finisterre right after this.